come out, whoever you are.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Probably the most noble words ever spoken, and ones that we should all attempt to live up to. But, unfortunately for the progressive left, all that matters is the amount of melanin in your skin. All that matters is who you get jiggy with. All that matters is which wedding tackle you have in your underpants. All that matters is which god you prostrate yourself to.
Jews in the Holocaust. The Germans won, you lost. Ha ha.
Young Turks, number 1.
Oh, not them again. Oh, my God.
The Young Turks and their supporters regard themselves as the shock troops for the progressive left, bravely battling against Nazis and fascists and the Klansmen who lurk in the shadows across American society. In reality, they are just a cancer on the body politic, with a quasi-religious seal for identity politics and the postmodern neo-Marxist swamp from which it emerges. Cenk, like all cult leaders, is at his core a narcissist and a borderline sociopath, who surrounds himself with supine lackeys willing to laugh at all his jokes and stroke his already overinflated ego. Anna is a dim-witted valley girl of no discernible talent, who was willing to betray her Armenian heritage and sign a false pact, which bizarrely included Arthur Nose, in order to secure a spot as co-host on a show that is named in honour of the monsters who carried out a genocide on our own people. To fully comprehend the insanity of the Young Turks, you need to understand the regressive agenda, a set of principles, if you can call them that has been codified and catalogued by Devon Tracy, aka Atheist Rue, aka Atheism is Unstoppable. A brief description is here, but for far more detailed analysis, go to Devon's YouTube channel, link in the description below. Everything the Young Turks do or say is in adherence with these articles of faith. And once you understand that, everything becomes clear. So without further ado, I give you the Young Turks.
Yeah, I'm fucking better than you, okay? Much better than you. You are garbage.
Join our church, rejoice, rejoice. Let us help you make your choice. Join our legion, rejoice, rejoice.
This week, the NYPD is commemorating one of their own because it's been 10 years since an NYPD officer was shot and killed by another NYPD officer who mistook him, a black man, for a robbery suspect.
So we're looking at a memorial for a fallen officer killed in the tragic blue on blue incident. Let's watch them turn this into a race-baiting shit show.
How? So it started as Officer Omar Edwards approached a man breaking into his car. Edwards was in plain clothes and wearing a handgun as he chased the suspect past a police car. Authorities say the officer who shot him didn't realize Edwards was a police officer. So as Officer Edwards is running after his suspect, 2 other officers pull up in an unmarked car. Officer Andrew Dutton got out and shouted for Officer Edwards to stop and put his weapon down. So as you can imagine, he's chasing his suspect and potentially doesn't even hear this.
You know why this one dropped out of the Weather Girl College, don't you? It was her 3rd day when she found out she was only forecasting weather and not deciding what it was.
The officers reported that after the command was given, Edwards turned toward Dutton with his gun in his hand. Dutton fired his Glock 9mm 6 times, hitting Edwards 3 of those times, once in the left arm, once in the left side, and once in the back, according to police. Emergency crews responding to the scene found Officer Edwards wearing a Police Academy t-shirt under his clothes and found his police shield and ID in his front left pants pocket, according to the police commissioner. Now, Officer Edwards was recently married with 2 young kids. I think his wife was 22 years old at the time and he was 25. Officer Dunton, whose colleagues described him as being devastated by Edwards' death, he was subsequently cleared by a grand jury and returned to full duty. He worked in the Juvenile Justice Unit and was later promoted to sergeant.
So a number of issues here. Number one is they shoot too quick. They just do. And I remember all the shows we used to watch when we were kids, and the police would say, stop, put your hands up, freeze. You'd go through a whole process.
There you have it, in his own words. Jenks' expertise in police procedure and the authorised use of lethal force comes from watching Hill Street Blues and Cagney and fucking Lacey. Jenk, you are a wanker.
Now, oftentimes cops shoot within 2 seconds. It happened to Ramir Rice. It has happened in dozens and dozens of cases, and here it's against a fellow officer. Now, I get it. He wasn't wearing his uniform, but I also get that there's a lot of different situations. Tamir Rice was a 12-year-old who had a toy gun.
Tamir Rice was a 12-year-old boy. A 12-year-old black boy Darwined himself off the planet by waving an imitation firearm around. We know he was black because if he was white, the Young Turks wouldn't give a shit about him. Jenk, you are a wanker. If only there was some way of putting Jenk's 2-second rule to the test. Oh, look what I found.
Just go to the hospital, get checked out. If they say you're okay, then you're on your way. I don't want you to
get home though, man.
You'll get home. Listen, I talked to my boss. The only other alternative to you not going voluntary, if you go voluntary, you hop on the cot, you ride down there, you get checked out, it's done. If you don't go voluntarily, here's what I have to do. I feel that you're not making a safe choice in your best interest.
I'm consciously talking.
You're not making a safe choice in your best interest. And I have to involve crisis. We have to go to the hospital anyway to start that process, and we have to have them evaluate to make sure that you're making safe decisions for yourself. I don't want to go there.
Real quick, do you have any weapons on you? No, sir. Okay. You kind of have a bulge on your right side. That's my phone. Okay, don't reach for anything. Just kind of. That's my phone. Look, man, I have a problem with officers.
Lift up your shirt then.
I get
lift up your shirt, bud. Lift up your shirt. We want to make sure everybody's safe.
Look. Whoa!
You see, Jenk, this is why you're at home shouting at the telly for Mary Beth to be careful out there, while the real professionals are out there keeping us safe. The closest he's come to mortal danger was when his missus found the bestiality sites in his internet favourites. Jenk, you're a total wanker.
Look, man, I have a problem with officers.
Lift up your shirt then.
Just
lift up your shirt, bud. Lift up your shirt. We want to make sure everybody's safe.
Look,
Shots fired!
But you're shooting the black guy, and the reality of it is, how many of these white guys who've shot up people and killed people you've disarmed and arrested and taken without harming? Like, and it happens over and over again. How many of guys who don't look like you? So I feel bad about this, but I believe that these police officers, the good apples, you guys need to step up. You need to step up, because you black cops who are just a black guy to police officers when you're not in your uniform, you are reminded that you are just a black guy to them.
And where the hell did that come from? Total incoherent race-baiting ramblings of a lunatic. It had no connection with the story at all. Straight to the regressive agenda. I think she hit 3 points. Fuck the police, white people are racist, save the blacks, and not all. No, she got 4. Any more and she would have won the holiday. She's not there because she's eye candy. This woman, oh sorry, must misgender, this orc, she's not there for her insightful interpretation of a day's news. She's there because she's managed to get any subject, no matter how rambling or obscure, back to the regressive agenda. Talking to my stepson and he says it's methamphetamine, not crack. He knows about these things. Me, I'm clueless. I haven't taken drugs since I dropped that tap of acid. And there was that incident with the goat whipped cream and Rice Krispies. I haven't been able to go to Sainsbury's since. Apparently I'm in all their training manuals.
Did you see the video of that man who fought the cop? He physically fought that cop and he did not get shot. He didn't even get tased.
Because he wasn't armed.
Sean King put out a video the other day of a mom in a playground, like takes a cop and wrestles him to the ground, and like etc. And they, of course, it's a white mom. They're not going to shoot the white mom. If a black guy did that,
because she
dead.
wasn't armed.
And you know it. And you know it.
All he would have to do is turn.
You can't start killing white mums gone Viking. If you started killing white mums gone Viking, grab a granny night at the coaching horses would look like the bloody Psalm. Sean King is white. I mean really white. He's whiter than me, and I'm pretty damn sure he's whiter than you. I don't even know who you are, but I'm sure he's whiter than you. He's whiter than Elizabeth Warren, and that takes some doing. In fact, if you put Liz and Sean in the same room, you'd think Pocahontas had a point.
And you know it.
All he would have to do is turn around and that's the thing. It's like a video game. Certain things scare you and startle you.
No, you stupid bint. It's you who sees it as a video game. All cops know one mistake and they're dead. There's no do-overs. There's no respawning by the cargo hold gates. They're an ex-cop. They slide down the curtain and join the choir invisible.
Like a video game. Certain things scare you and startle you, and nobody's ready to acknowledge that that's just the truth in that. He was in plain clothes, but you were in a plain vehicle, because if you were in a marked car.
Young Turks remind me of the old song. There's a black one, and a brown one, and a gay one, and a yellow one, and they all tick the right boxes because they all think just the same.
He would have stopped when he saw his police brethren roll by.
Exactly.
That's not what happened. All of a sudden, he's in the midst of this. He hears somebody yell, he turns around. That's what normal people do, right?
So, yeah, last 2 things. Everybody's now mourning like crazy over this, and of course they should, because it's a tragedy. What if it wasn't a cop? What if it was just a normal African-American guy? Would we have the same reaction? Or right now, would they be telling you about how he once smoked pot, and he was this, and he was that, and did he have it coming? So why don't we treat everybody the same?
They don't want to treat them all the same though, and that's the point. If Officer Edwards had been white, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The only reason the Young Turks are reporting on this is because Officer Edwards was black and his killer white. Otherwise they wouldn't touch this story with a barge pole.
Why don't we treat everybody the same? And the last thing is, if you notice, they said he got shot in the back. What happened to turning around? I'm not so sure about that.
Oh, you're right.
And there we go. What started as a memorial for a fallen officer ends up with a sneaky accusation of murder. Cenk, I no longer think you're a wanker. You're utter Berkeley. Google it.
One more thing.
My name's Mark. I've been the cuckoo clock. I've got neurofibromatosis, and if you don't like, share and subscribe, it's because you're a hate-filled, dysmorphia-phobic bigot. I'm probably a racist.